Today we're going to talk about C-curve. This is a question that I got from one of my clients, which is how do I know if I'm doing C-curve right? So before we start, let me explain what C-curve is. This is a Pilates exercise where basically you're taking your low back, your lower lumbar area of your spine, and you're making it into a C. It's very similar to a couple different exercises. So let me demonstrate. C-curve is kind of hard to know if you're doing it correctly. So sometimes it's helpful to have a ball underneath your back to give you a little extra support so you can come upright. Now imagine that your spine is nice and long. We're going to lean back and then we're going to slightly tuck the pelvis under. So you should feel some pressure on that ball. And just by kind of like wiggling around, you can kind of see I'm pressing back. My low abs are going to kick in and I'm going to feel a nice shake in my transverse abdominis, which is how you know that you're doing it right if you're shaking in Pilates. You shouldn't feel it in your hip flexors. You should not feel any pain in your low back. You should not feel your shoulders start to kick in. You should be able to lean back. You can also release the C-curve, press. So almost like a little pelvic tilt exercise. You'll feel that shake and then you know you're doing it right. Now, if you're in a Pilates or bar class, you'll typically be here. We'll do all kinds of crazy things. We'll add some rotations. This is a great setup for teaser, which is this guy. Whew. Abs kick in right away. And it's a great modifier for boat if this doesn't feel good. Now, how do we know if you're doing C-curve wrong? The hip flexors will start to kick in. You'll start to have some back pain. Your shoulders will round forward. And we won't have that alignment piece that is so critical to Pilates. Pilates training is all about alignment, form. It is kind of born from physical therapy and rehab. So we really want to make sure we're using these form cues correctly. So when it comes to an exercise like C-curve, because we can't necessarily see it when we're teaching or when we're taking classes, it can kind of be a tricky one. So I always encourage to think, am I feeling it? Where am I feeling it? Is it migrating out of a different area? And the way you modify is to sit up nice and tall, or you can flip over and do a pelvic tuck instead. So here's where I would recommend if you are pre or post. The C-curve puts a lot of pressure on that low back. If you already have a dumbbell or if you are recovering from pregnancy, your transverse abdominis might not be there yet. So do this instead. You're gonna come to all fours. Your physical therapist will probably have you do this too. It's just a pelvic tilt. It's very similar in the philosophy that we are tipping and tilting the pelvis, but we're not holding and rounding that curve. So we can practice getting into C-curve either laying on the mat or here. So notice, instead of like that cat-cow, which gets the upper and lower back, we're just going into a pelvic tuck, so releasing your tailbone. I also want you to relax your pelvic floor here, so pretend you're peeing, but don't. And then scoop it up towards your sternum. You will feel the low belly kick in. Using your breath, inhale, exhale, scoop and run under, so finding the tilt of that pelvis. Some pelvic tilt side to side might also feel really, really good if you're pre or post, especially because if you imagine that this is a pelvis, when we're pregnant, we tend to anteriorly tip our pelvis forward, or we posterior tuck as we get rounder and we kind of lose that engagement in the glutes. So the pelvic tilt exercise is really helpful just to kind of establishing that neutral pelvis and getting back into that neutral spine position, which is where we want to go before we go into your typical person Pilates class. Now, from there, once we have the pelvic tilts kind of figured out, we can practice that exhale, that scoop, that engagement. I know I'm not wearing a loose shirt, but think like you can also take your hand to your waist. Big exhale, press that you're pressing into an imaginary ball. So see how I'm tucking my pelvis slightly under, but I'm not engaging my glutes at all. It's all coming from right here. And sometimes, especially when we are postpartum and things have been stretched apart, getting that mind-body connection where you're actually taking your hand to where you're supposed to be feeling an exercise. Common areas, obviously low belly or your glutes. If you're doing a glute exercise, just like place your hand to where you're supposed to feel it, and it will help that mind-body connection kind of get back into place. Speaking of, these leggings I wore them all throughout pregnancy. They're very, very loose. So again, that is what C-curve is. That is who it's for, who it's not for. And again, some exercises you can do instead are the pelvic tuck or the pelvic tilt, or do the C-curve in just a different position. Another one where we can really engage transverse abdominis is you're gonna come up and do a lean back. So obviously, if the rest of the class is here, you don't really wanna be doing this. So if your class is in C curve, and this is mostly for teachers, so a little sneak peek behind the scenes. If my class is here and I'm doing surf the platter, I'm doing little front punches, I'm getting all that extra upper body work. If my client is not going to be great for C curve, if she's not a good candidate because she's just not there yet, you're going to go into a lean back position. So spine is nice and neutral, shoulders stack over hips, lean back. She can engage her quads, she can engage her glutes. So if she starts to get any pain in the low back, we can use these guys to kind of take over, because again, the glutes are very compromised during pregnancy and postpartum anyway. So I think it's fine in case she needs to take a little break from her core. And then you can do the surf platter, you can do this, and if she needs to use a little bit more of her legs, she can while she's recovering. And then again, just encourage her, try it. Add that movement if she needs it. Just make sure she's breathing correctly, because again, we know that is that foundation piece when it comes to postpartum and recovery. Okay, so that is your C curve tutorial. I hope it helps. Again, I'm Sarah Ann with MomTrainer.com. Feel free to follow me at the Mom Trainer for more tips and subscribe to MomTrainer.com. Thanks for watching.